Hail to the hail, 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 the South Star here. And what the hell do we care now, guys? It's a Friday at 5 o'clock. You know what time that is. It's time that we take a wee step back, take a deep breath, and look at everything that was the week that we've just had. When it comes to everything Celtic, we are obviously at the sharp end of pre season. The pre season treble that some people would be eyeing up is gone now after the Ajax game last night. And the transfer window, although still has like a good bit while yet to rumble on, if it's got to this kind of weird, kind of sticky point, hasn't it? Thanks for everyone that is joining us live and loud today. Fist bumps on arrival. Please do hit the like button when you get here. If you enjoyed the show at any point, please do hit the subscribe button for more content like this. Get into the live chat and let me know thoughts and feelings on everything that's happened this week. We had a video drop on Wednesday. We had the latest edition of the transfer summer scouting shopping list thing that we've been doing here on the channel for 20 episodes now, or maybe 19. One of them numbers anyway. We've done a lot of them. And Celtic have went back to the well. They went back to the Celtic Star Here playlist that they've got in their favourites tab on the computer over at Lennoxtown. And they went onto our list and they picked up, again, a guy that I thought, or they didn't pick him up, they went after him. A guy that was very much in that same Negren category in all the scouting shows and all the kind of transfer analysis stuff that we've done here on the channel, where definitely a guy we should go for. But number one, not too sure he fits right into the squad stylistically in terms of the position he plays, what we need, etc. But second of all, I can't believe the price that he's available for. I would have thought winding this back, you know, to when we would have spoke about Jacob Breum on the Dutch video like 2 or 3 months ago at the very least, he would have been double the price that Go Ahead are asking for, around that 10 million euro mark. We've submitted a bid of 1.5. They've knocked it back and said the price is 5, and we seem to be hesitating, or maybe we've went ahead and done it. Who knows? It's been quite fast moving over the last week or whatever. But yeah, similar to Negren in terms of the stature, the excitement I would have around the move. And let me know your thoughts and feelings on that, as well as everything else. But Ryan, someone was the first guy in the chat today bringing that one up, as well as David Boyle. The board are an analog. We live in a digital world, happy to be in Scotland by default. And it's only a matter of time before a proper competitor emerges and shows the lack of ambition. Shows the lack of ambition up. I'll just put the wee box on screen so we can get all the comments here as well. And Boyson, good to see you. Johnny TH in the chat. He said on the BBC, for their fans' view, we should be, rather than demanding transfers, maybe we're demanding cheaper prices on season tickets and tickets. That's a great point. Good to see you all. All the regulars are in the house. Love to see it. Live and loud, of course. All the heroes, boys and girls from around the world tuning in on a Friday. And getting ready to rock with it, George. Hi, Quinny. I feel like there are a lot of throwing the baby out with the bathwater over the result last night. Now, is that probably the best place to start? I think it might be, right? Because just getting ready for the show, I was just kind of refresh. I found extended highlights, which was a lot better than what had been out on Como TV, certainly. And I've got to admit, going through the highlights of this, like, I've not seen the reaction, which is baby out the bathwater stuff, but seriously, like 3 of the goals that we conceded in this game are massive throwbacks to basically the Dortmund humbling and really the ineptitude that we do have in the squad when it comes to recovery defending. I don't know if, I think it was around the 6-minute mark we get into the second half, but this is there. I thought the first half, the highlights all looked quite lively. I want to talk about Yang as well in the show today, not necessarily at length, but I certainly want to detail some Yang chat. We've had some quotes from Brendan on that one as well. But this is the goal that makes it 2-1. I just exactly which one this is, but like, where does the actual shot come from? I'm sure it's kind of edge of the box or whatever, isn't it? But the number one problem that we've had in this type of situation, turning back, facing our own goal, is that we don't have that defensive midfielder. Now, it might be quite harsh on this one to talk about McGregor, Engels, Bernardo, whoever was on the pitch at this moment. I think it was only McGregor out of that gang. But you'll see this in all the goals that we conceded in the second half. When the ball turns over and they're going forward and we're having to retreat, we do have, like, Hatate is, as we've always said on this channel, Hatate is so valuable to our press. We call this position on the channel the press support. He really joins the front three and adds in as a fourth forward in a big way. He always endeavours to recover and do all that kind of stuff. But when he is starting the highest up the pitch, you can't always ask him to cover every blade of grass, don't get me wrong. I'm struggling to see where McGregor is at this precise moment. Oh, here he is over here. And then this will be Negren, isn't it? So when the ball turns over here, I say it's quite hard to label this one on McGregor, particularly because he is the defensive midfielder in question. But what you're going to see here when I let this one play out, is that everyone ball watches and we get this big gap in between the back four and where the defence are recovering to. It's even more apparent in some of the other goals that we can see later on in the half. This camera angle kind of kills the snapshot I was going to be building here, but we've got McGregor, we've got Negren, we've got Dyson. Everyone, Dyson can kind of see these two guys here, which, again, are we going to hammer Maeda for this? Probably not. But all the midfield are constantly just ball watching and thinking about positions to be in. For McGregor, he's always just thinking about being in between the centre backs and just falling back into defending the castle, defending the box. He's not aware of anyone running from deep. How many goals like this do we concede in important matches? Way too many, I would say. Not this is important, of course, but it's just we don't have someone with a nose for danger to know where the target man is or the danger man and snuff it out. Don't need to see all the highlights and the replays of it. This was a nice wee move that was unlucky. And yeah, this kind of reminds me a wee bit more about Yang, but this highlight takes us straight into the next one. I don't want to labour this too much, but someone brought up the game, so I just thought I would show the things I was spotting earlier today, getting ready for the show, and just kind of then leave it. This is so this is a perfect example of. Now, I don't know who's actually getting, like, quote unquote blamed for this, right? So you guys in the chat can let me know what you think, right? Carter Vickers has got the ball on the ground here. I'm not too sure in total how many touches he takes. We can certainly count it if we want. But the ball's within his body shape. That's his first touch, you think there. Schmeichel's gave him the ball. One touch. Okay, 2 touches and pass. Now, this touch here, I've paused it at quite a good point. He actually gets the ball off the ground with his pass. So he hits it really hard because he's got to get the ball to travel a good bit of distance. He can't play the ball to McGregor because this man here is blocking that from happening. You cannot play that ball across the face of goal, so he cannot play to Scales. You can maybe go to Schmeichel, but that's just then going to, invite them further into the box. So the only 2 passes he has available to him is Ralston, who I'm assuming is on it right back at this point in the game. I think he played the whole match, in fact, Ralston, and Negren, who's coming back in here. So he absolutely wellies it, but he gets the ball off the ground. And because the ball bounces, when Negren comes to drop it back and put it into McGregor, he is accidentally under the ball because the ball is lifted off the ground. And that's where the hospital ball happens. And Ajax just capitalise upon that very nicely for them. So yeah, Carter Vickers, ball playing centre backs. Like, if we're going to be playing out from the back, like, again, is that harsh to hit Vickers with that? It's his first pre-season game, I think, isn't it? But he's going for the harder pass there, and Negren is kind of hung out to dry on that one for me because he has to keep the ball on the ground there. He's got it off the ground maybe like 3 inches, half a foot, something like that. And that's just been enough for Negren's ankle or Negren's foot to be under the ball, which lifts it and means McGregor's killed. And let's see, Ajax get the mistake here. I think it might be the next one because Engels and Bernardo come onto the pitch, and that gap between defence and midfield is honestly, it's like a chasm when we see it unfold. I'll catch up with the chat in a second once I've kind of got up to speed with this. I don't know if we need to see many more highlights of this, do we? But yeah, when I seen these goals in the second half, I thought these are really reality checks, I think, for anyone that was getting maybe a wee bit too ahead of themselves in pre-season. And yeah, we had plenty of chances in this one, by the way. Yang looked really good in the highlights on this match. If you watched the full game, let me know how Yang done, how anyone done, really. I'm always interested on anyone who was there or anyone that's watched the match in full. This is what I'm talking about here, right? I think for this goal. So we can see we've got Engels. I guess this must be Negren over here. Forrest, Johnny Kenny, Maeda. So this is definitely like Negren, or if someone else has came on at this point in the match, I've not cross-referenced it with the subs or whatever, but we can see Engels and we can see McGregor. All got eyes for the ball. They've got 2 forwards. They've got a number 10 to watch out for, and then the wide players. Let's just remind ourselves how this one actually pans out. It's a nice interplay, give and go. No, it must be the next goal. It's got this kind of chasm in midfield. Yeah, but by the time Bernardo comes on. But again, everyone has got eyes for the ball. No one has got that sense of, that spidey sense of, defenders need to be in this position. Defenders need to do this. Inamura didn't cover himself in glory, obviously. But someone from midfield, all these guys are unmarked in the box. I don't want to say basic or whatever, you know what I mean? But let's just wind it back. What's this? 8:19. Let's just wind it back 11 seconds. These guys know where they are. They can see them. Engels checked his shoulder there to see somebody, but it's just all about recover. Run into the space, eyes on the ball everywhere. No one again is double checking shoulders. McGregor is shoulder to shoulder with Fitzjim here. He just rolls away from McGregor. How many people do that? You know, no idea. Nobody's freaking out that they're all facing the ball. They just about kind of get away with it to be able to clear it, but because they are so deep and they've not been watching these people, look where Fitzjim is now, and he's just got an absolute acre around him. That drives people out, and yeah, the long shot is the one that ends up killing us on that one. See, I didn't prepare to go through these highlights, but you can see what's going on. It's just all panic stations because everyone's ball watching. Where's the ball now? Who's got it? And that's why you see the defense being so there's just the space is just getting second half complete shit show. Yeah. See, I've only watched the highlights of it. I was away camping with the kids and all that. Summer holidays have been non to the stop for me. But yeah, I think it's the last goal that we get here where this real kind of void again because no one's sitting in there. And again, this is something we talk about on the channel quite a lot. Nobody, and fair enough with some of these, that this plays are going out wide, right? But with some of these plays that we've seen in the inside, nobody is able to step out and confront the ball. Everyone has to retreat. And when everyone's retreating, everyone's running towards their own goal. Look at the gap here between defence and midfield. It's absolutely massive. Because everyone's having to recover the whole way of the pitch, no one's got that ability to step out onto anything. I think that's pretty much all the sides of it, isn't it? But defending is just too. It's just too. All hands on deck, battle stations. Did you feel that all the Ajax goals were all with the instep? Well, there is a wee bit. The last three we've looked at there have kind of been delivered from the edge of the box or whatever. But again, like they've got the time on the edge of the box because the midfield is just all over the place. Like again, acres of space on the edge of the box. Absolutely criminal. And yeah, Forrest is out here. Could you maybe have wanted Forrest in there? I don't know. But when you've got three midfielders and a 4-3-3, somebody's got to be protecting the edge of the defence, the edge of the box, whereas they're too worried about being in a position to block. Like the last goal, they got quite lucky to get the block away. Scales manages to get a foot, but and Engels is showing the guy to pass this way. Bernardo's on his heels, and maybe he's between a rock and a hard place here. There's two men around him. He is in a decent position if he was mobile. Because if he's already travelling, like he's got to see that ball's going to get moved somewhere. And if it's, when this ball's here, look where, yeah. Bernardo can see the whole picture. He can see everyone that's over this side of the game. And he knows, like, if this guy gets the ball across, he's got to be thinking, if he gives it to this guy, it's not a problem. If he gives it to this guy, then it's not his problem. And if it goes anywhere else, he's the one that's expected to deal with it. He has a check on his shoulder, and I guess he's maybe now just about seen this guy. So he's just too late to the party because he's had to run back the entire length of the pitch. And again, he's showing him, like, oh, you're going to go this way? And he's just got a free shot from the edge of the box. Yeah, you see Vickers begging somebody, fucking go out to that. Someone. That's one of the other ones from earlier. This is one in Namura kind of gets done, isn't it? And yeah, we get away with the wee blocks or whatever. We get a clearance. But again, we've got nobody. Everyone is in the 6-yard box because, yeah. Kenny should do better. Kenny gives up on that as well a bit. That's a wee bit, it's not going to hurt. It's not going to help him, that, is it? Wouldn't blame him for that necessarily. But again, like, we're clearing it to nobody. It's just panic stations. It's like everyone's in the 6-yard box. Just get it away. Boom. And then everyone quite heavy-legged to get back out. McGregor does his best here. At least he gets up to kind of block it of sorts, but it's just not enough, is it? So anyway, I didn't want to labour like a friendly match too much or whatever, but that was quite fresh in my mind that I thought the defensive deficiencies in transition, like against counter-attack or whatever, are staring us right in the face. When I did the show the other day talking about Briam and the squad and everything as well, we were chatting about how the fact that Negren is in the team now as this box-to-box number 8, I don't think there's any more room this season for us to be actually out there signing any more midfielders. We'll just take McPherson off the chart now, just because my head's in the way. Because, yeah, like Engels, Bernardo, McKeown, McGregor, Hatate, Negren, and then you've got somebody like Summers maybe still in the building that can float around as midfielder number 7. I would be very surprised if we were spending big money in midfield this year, but we really need it. We actually really need somebody that can be that defensive midfielder, especially when that game has changed there. We see a lot of that as Engels and McGregor, and the way they're trying to play is like a double pivot with Negren higher up the pitch. And neither one of them are defensive mids. And against teams like Ajax are really well drilled. It's not a vintage Ajax squad that they've got at the moment, but the Ajax way and all that crap is like in their DNA, turning the ball over. Like I was getting deja vu. The last time I seen Ajax at Celtic Park, they'd done us in the last kick of the game, a counter attack from a corner. And I'm pretty sure that was a draw that turned into a loss. At that moment, there was a Ronnie Dyla game. And yeah, very similar to those types of goals. Turn over the ball quickly and create a scoring opportunity. So I think that asks some questions of really what are we doing in midfield, man? And although like we know McGregor is the captain, we all love him, we want him to play every week. He's kind of getting hung out to dry in that position because although he's getting maybe by someone's measure he's getting better at recovering in and getting back into this position here, but because he's always so high, same with Engels, and if this is going to be Negren and Hatate, it'll be the same problem. They're going to be on the wrong side of the ball when it turns over, and then just look at the space here. And then you've just got your head needs to be on a swivel. The ball moves quickly because you're against a good team. And then before you know it comes out somewhere you're not expecting it. And they've got a free shot from the edge of the box. And everything they touched really seemed to turn to gold, didn't it? And yeah, he just shouldn't be doing that job, quite honestly. He should be much higher up the pitch. He should be much more like the playmaker rather than the conductor, if that makes sense. I think you need somebody in there that is just like super defensively hungry, just wants to smash people, and not in a Roy Keane, like pure Neanderthal football from the 90s way. But like, some people, if you're a defensive midfielder, you're big and strong and you're good at it. There's guys out there that get a buzz out of winning the ball, smashing people in the air, getting the ball on the deck and being that force. Yeah, I'm with you there. And we did look leggy there. And I don't think for Bernardo or Engels there's much of an excuse for that. What would progress look like this year? I would like, I thought, and again, you can go and check the report card series we've done on the channel, but I'll never forget it for as long as I live. But drawing at Zagreb and drawing at Bruges were massive, missed opportunities is probably the kindest way of putting it, but those were two games we should have won. Connor Vickers' goal for the Bruges thing kind of makes that game a bit harder because that was really a random freak occurrence. And Bruges were good, don't get me wrong. But if we'd got 6 points out of those games rather than 2, like I would love us to be sniffing top 10 or top 12, whatever that top section is. I'd love us to be sniffing it, being close to it. I don't think that's beyond the realm of possibility. It is dictated on us actually spending some bloody money this window, but and yeah, I think Bernardo is the best of the bunch on it, but I don't think he's an out and out. Just go and sign Kante. You said it, sale 88. He's made enough money. He can come play for fun now in Glasgow for sure. But we've had a development since I was actually later on after I recorded the video. But Quan has officially moved to Nantes now, so he is out the building. And Tilio came off the bench last night, guys. What is happening with Tilio? I thought he was in Austria. I thought he was away to Vienna. He's still in the squad. He's still playing. Tilio was still in the fold, everyone. McGregor, yeah, that's tough. Like Bonglahor said it, we trained during the day and played at night. Boys a bit leggy, just about fitness and ball work. Like Bonglahor said it. When was he talking about us? And is that, well, they did look leggy, so if they had a training session earlier that day, I get it. Why is Quan getting that kind of move? It'll be for two reasons. It will be his international credentials. We spent a couple of quid on him despite him being from K2, the second tier in the K League. I think his team did get promoted the year we signed him. He does have good international data, certainly, and he will probably, him and his agent, his representatives, I would imagine he has probably managed to get himself in there on trial somehow, somewhere. And I know he's popped up at training for us, I think, or was he not, in fact? I can't remember, but I think he was seen for a minute, but then he wasn't seen, and it was like, oh, Quan isn't at training. I think he's went to places on trial, quite simply. Like the club have probably gave him that freedom because Quan is one of those guys. If he is better than what we've seen him to be, a great place to demonstrate that would be the training pitch. Nantes are very skint. Nantes are very lucky to be in Ligue 1 this year, and Nantes are losing all of their top talent, so they're kind of desperate. And there's also that comes into it as well. Yeah, I thought it was a way to rapid as well. Roger said Tilio move suspended until we bring in wingers. Oh, okay. So it's still like just ready to push the button on it. The front line is a joke. Now, this is some Rogers has come out and said, I seen this quote earlier today. I'm not too sure what he said, but he said about Yang. He said Yang is. Let me go and find it. I'm sure I've seen everything Celtic tweeted it. Everything Celtic's always good for. Just a Celtic here, just for keeping on top of Brendan Rodgers on Yang. There it's there. Because there was those AI pictures of Yang in a Norwich shirt, which probably brought those questions on. But it's quite revealing for where we're at the moment. At this moment in time, he is a starting winger for us, so we are not in a position to be moving him on. At this moment in time, it's not even in our thinking, really. And like I mentioned on the last show, we have invested a lot of time and a lot of energy into Yang as fans and as a club and as a coaching department. And the number one thing I've always said about Yang is naturally, he's a front foot guy. He's always wanting to take people on. And even when he showed up, he's got quite a good physical frame. He's tall enough. He's quite robust. He's never been weak in Scotland. He's just maybe been a bit clumsy, a little bit Bambi on ice sometimes, like you see with Inamura and that highlight, just maybe slipping a wee bit or whatever. But the number one thing we've always said with him is if he adds in some tap-ins and sets some people up for some tap-ins into his game, then the whole perception around him changes because he can beat people. He can put crosses in. He maybe doesn't really shoot from the edge of the box or anything like that. But Yang has also been pretty damn good at like picking the ball up in a wide area and driving across the pitch, which is, again, not something that Palma could do, Tilio, lots of other players that have been and gone over the years where, like, there's plenty of times where we've seen Yang in these positions and he'll drive into this area, maybe have a wee 1-2 with whoever it's been, Kyo Goida, and he'll end up round this side for a shot that maybe gets blocked or gets put out or whatever. And he's starting to add in tap-ins into his goals. That good spell that he had in the season when his girlfriend was in town, he had maybe a little bit more than a tap-in and setting people up for tap-ins or whatever. But that's all he really needs to add into his game because he is pretty effective. He is quite good. But the concern has always been we don't see Yang ever really being a best 11 Celtic player. And if he is in the starting 11, we're going to have to be pretty thin. And that is kind of where we're at the moment. I love Yang for the third winger, the fourth winger, the fifth winger in the squad where he's kind of been over the last couple of years. And hey, if he's going to excel and kick on, Celtic fans are all going to support him. Of course we are. We all love an underdog coming good. We all love a guy coming good in the hoops as well. But as things stand in this preseason going into Champions League, this is just not good enough, man. This is just not it at all. The Jota will come back for the second half of the year, but that's not something that anyone can really weigh up. Yamada got removed from the team sheet last night. I think that was down to some sort of international clearance or something like that, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I know he's stating facts. I know he's probably playing a little bit of politics with the board, but like that is where he's at. That's where he sees Yang right now, is that type of level. I would say we need at least two wingers. And I think, yeah, Liam, we're on the same page. He's a good squad player, definitely someone we want around. Welsh is currently listed as injured with that shoulder thing he had the other day. So let's just see how that shakes out, Martin Weir. But Dyson, we all love, obviously, there's no problem with that. But Yang can play both sides. So I would have thought Forrest is a starting winger at the moment, but looks to be Yang. I think that Ajax team is probably going to be the team that starts the first game of the season, minus Alistair Johnson and Carter Vickers coming in for Dane Murray and Anthony Ralston. But I think that's the way Roger sees the team right now. And that's probably part of the politics he's been playing here with the board to say, this is the team we've got. These are the subs. And the way the games went, I'm sure he'll be unhappy or whatever, but it probably proves his point. He's probably not too disappointed that we conceded 5 there. And maybe gives him a bit more ammunition to go back to the board to push for more. Negren, I did think Negren would be... I thought Negren would play in the Kuhn position until we signed some more wingers. and we maybe have him come a bit more narrow. You start then Engels in the midfield like we did last year. But it really seems like he's hell-bent on Negren being the O'Reilly replacement, and the touches he's got. Like, Negren is really good at actually getting out of here from what I've seen from him, certainly in those highlights last night and in pre-season already. He's very comfortable at dealing in this position here and getting the team turning around and going forward. Very, very good at that. And I think Rodgers is going to want to keep him in and around here. But I think we need much more of a bodyguard in this shield position, because although we're going to dominate 99% of matches, and even some of the matches that we don't dominate in Europe that we're doing well in, we might not necessarily like need a defensive midfielder. But I would kind of argue not having one at this point, with all the body of evidence we've got on all the midfielders, the strengths that we've got in the squad, and where it's hurt us in the past, it's negligent, man. It is. It is. We really should have another midfielder in there that is the shield, that is the enforcer, that is that bodyguard of the defence, you know, who doesn't need to retreat halfway down the pitch to get into position before they can confront the ball. Someone that's got the freedom of the ball's coming down here. He might be over here because of the switch of play or whatever, but he's not thinking, oh, I need to run in and get in here. He's thinking more, I'm going to go and confront that and stop it at source. We don't have anyone doing that. Everyone's backpedaling, letting the ball and whoever's running with it have some space, and then there's some interlocking play, and before you know it, people get in behind us. So, do you know the way Hatate drops deep in possession to make a two with McGregor? Is that the way forward this season? I don't think it will change, but I think he's going to. I think it will be more of, you'll see Negren and Hatate maybe taking a bit more of a swing at that, because Hatate, like, if we are deep, the thing with Hatate being really deep is he's really good at playing out of those tight spaces or whatever. And where it broke down last year was who he would be finding. And if it was Engels before, it would normally be sending Engels into this type of area here. Can Johnson like run a marathon to get up and beyond him and whatever? But with him having Negren in here, he'll be able to get out of this side of the pitch, I think, a lot easier. And I think if it's on the other side of the pitch, you'll see it just being mirrored, essentially. Negren will get us out that area and he'll find Hatate and it'll go forth there. And I think that's kind of the count. Oh no, I just broke Yoshi's. Oh no, I think I can fix that. Oh no, maybe I can. Oh no, I can. But I think that'll be that type of counterbalance, that sort of pendulum swing between the midfield of who's coming deep to collect it and then who they're playing with to get out, because I think that's part of the game. Because that's number one, the thing that I've hated with the midfield last year is just how split across the pitch that they've been, and how we try and get McGregor the ball and then McGregor to play with Taylor, or maybe go to Alistair Johnson before then finding Engels or Hatate to set up an attack. So I think it will be with Tierney back. I think it will be a bit more of, if it's this side of the pitch, we see Hatate drop in. If it's that side of the pitch, we see Negren drop in, and then the other one kind of tucks in and around, almost like a little kind of rotation pattern to be the exit to then feed the front three on counter-attack. Ralston was not doing very well backpedaling, but see the player he was playing against, Raul Moro. It's a player we were hotly linked to in January. I think we were pursuing in this window, but Ajax just about beat us to it. And he looked like he looked in La Liga like he'd be a good Celtic player. And against us last night, he really had the number of Ralston. I would say this squad looks like a Europa League squad overall. I think it is missing a bit of Champions League bite, a bit of Champions League quality. I don't know if it looks much different to last year, but I did think going into the Champions League last year, Dyson, Kyogo and Kuhn could hurt any team in the competition because of the pace and, you know, just how quality they all were, you know. And that was even before, like, don't get me wrong, Kuhn's early season form made that a bit more believable or something you could, you know, cheer on. But like I mentioned in the stream we did on Monday or Tuesday, Kuhn always kind of looked like he was effective for us, but it just wasn't at Jota level from day one. This front line in the Champions League, you don't have that same confidence with it. It's a huge downgrade. And Champions League, like, yeah, we need to be good defensively. It's really important. We've got a solid back line. We know our role and we don't give anything up and put everything on the line and all that caper. But see, if you can't score goals, you're not winning games. You know, in this Champions League system, that level of the competition, you need actual thoroughbred goal scorers. And Ida did show last year that he had the ability to try and do that for us. I don't really think of the Bratislava goal when I say that. I think of more the Aston Villa showing. But all the same, Dyson, Ida, Yang, Forest, whoever it is, I've not got the same confidence in that I did Dyson, Kyogo, Kun. Ida's not been good pre-season either. By all accounts, really, it should be Quinny starting up front. Yeah, I'm with you there, Strange Love the Doctor. You don't score goals, you don't win games. And like Brendan said as well, what is your ambition in terms of how you're going to do in the transfer market, number one. But number two, attacking football was the Celtic DNA. There's no mistaking that, there's no doubting it. And, this is a markedly worse front three than what we had last year. And that's not a slight on Yang in particular or Forest. And Eden, like I say, I've made my peace with the transfer fee, the situation. I'm quite okay with him. But when you see the supporting cast is Yamada, who's not played pre-season at all yet, Quinny, who has been the hero of pre-season, but is out of contract in 12 months, and then Osmond, who we've brought from Premier League B, under 23 Premier League, and hasn't really touched the sides, has he, over pre-season? I would disagree with that, Tom. To be honest with you, I would disagree with that. Like, what Europa League teams did we draw? Young Boys in Bratislava or whatever. But the thing is like, see, every draw, even this year, we're going to get two teams out of pot 4. We're going to get two teams out of pot 3. So, we're still going to draw Bratislavas and Young Boys and Zagrebs. We're still going to draw them. It's not like anyone who says we had a lucky drawing last year and we won't get another drawing like that, I don't think they understand the new format, because the old format meant if we were in pot 4, we played nobody in pot 4. But we are guaranteed now every season to play two pot 4 teams, two pot 3, two pot 2, two pot 1. Now, pot 1 and pot 2 doesn't really change for us, as we've seen last year. Like, I think we had Aston Villa, we had Atalanta, Dortmund. I think Leipzig was actually a pot 3 team, and maybe Bruges was a pot 2 team, something like that. There was one that was kind of the other way around. But I don't think the strength of the draw last year is going to be that anomalous, not much of an anomaly. But it was certainly on the kinder side when you get Bratislava and like genuinely the worst team. That's kind of the only fortuitous part of it, I would say. And that is true as well, Stephen. We're not there yet, but that's what the team is for, so that's what we're judging the team on right now, is like, is this fit for purpose? That's kind of what we're saying, Stephen. Exactly. And I'm just trying to keep up with the chat, sorry guys, but not all the comments make total sense to me, so I'm having to read them once or twice because there's tons of them coming in. But yeah, so in terms of the Jacob Bream thing, like, I would be at 5 million quid, looking at the way the front line is, I would be very surprised if we don't go and get him. If you're interested in more detail on Jacob Bream, I recommend you check out the show we did on Wednesday. We actually go into positionally what he's all about a bit more and where he could fit into the team. I'm not too sure he's an obvious fit. So if you're interested in that type of chat, we did a show on Wednesday. It's Bream's in the title. You won't miss it. So feel free to go and check it out. Yeah, Celtic fans loving the Danish football as well. Nah, I don't think so, Carter. I don't think so. I don't think, if we don't qualify and Maeda leaves, it might not be the board that sold him. It might be Dyson saying, I tried to stay, but I can't, Yeah, that's a good ambition. I would agree with that. Pot 2, pot 3, Champions League side. Doesn't really change anything, but in terms of it doesn't change anything in terms of the teams you can draw against. It's just that's more of a status symbol, really, at this point. Or maybe helps you in seeding purposes, in terms of like being at home against whatever side and that kind of thing. But yeah, we're in a vulnerable spot right now. I'm not really worried about us at home. I think with all the likely opponents we could have, I think we'll probably beat whoever we get at home with the current squad. But if it's tight and, if the first games, I know away goals don't count or whatever, but it's for momentum in the tie. I'm not, if we conceded one too many goals, I'm not confident we would score enough, in some of these games. I think at home we could beat almost anyone that's in that draw 1-0, 2-0, 2-1, something like that with the current squad. It's too dicey. It's too thin. Broom is 50% left wing, 20% right wing, 25% AM. From his career stats and his right-footed. I think, yeah, he has his best position is number 10. I don't know where you're getting the 25% attacking mids. He's mainly played attacking mid last season. I don't know if that's just a website, David. I'm not saying that as like a go or whatever, but I know Go Ahead in their best form when everyone's fit and available. Briam's very versatile. He can play everywhere. He can actually play a little bit up front as well. That might be part of the role that's seen for him. I would pose the question. Check the video out for more details, of course, but he's not really that great on the wing. You know, the best. So we played Ajax last night. They had a guy that was wide called Edvardsen. So for Go Ahead, they had Edvardsen and Antman out wide with Briam through the middle, and that's when they were like peak. And then Edvardsen went to Ajax in January. Briam picked up an injury at one point, so there was a wee bit of rotating around and playing in different spots or whatever. Yeah, I'm with you there, AJ. I'm with you there. So yeah, for me, he's much more of a number 10, which means like, do we put him again? Check the Briam video because I don't want to just repeat what we did on Wednesday. Because any of you that caught that content, you probably don't want to hear it twice. But yeah, he's a kind of weird one where I want him in the squad. You don't say no to bad players at that price. I just don't really know what problem he fixes, and we should just be buying it. They're off the transfer market site. Excellent, no problem, David. I'll maybe double check that myself. But I know from following Go Ahead's kind of rise last year, Briam in the number 10 was the way to go. If he played wide, he wasn't always as effective, and they did seem to try and avoid it. Yeah, I'm with you there as well, Liam. If we have Bratislava, McLaughlin, you're very right, very right. Psychologically, they'll be better prepared. The team that played last year will have some experience. They won't fear us as much because they've kind of like exercised that demon. They've met that reality of playing at Celtic Park or whatever. I agree with your sentiment, your point here, but I don't think there's any progression that Bratislava could have made in the last 12 months where it really tightens that gap from us to them. They were a lot better at home. They kept Man City to not pumping them, and they maybe even got a decent draw against somebody at home. So in a two-legged affair, it is a different kettle of fish. I'm totally with you there. But if we did get Bratislava, I wouldn't be losing any sleep over it. You think so? Tom Brady, fair enough. I would be, yeah. He's very similar to Negren, which is why I don't really know what problem Briam solves because he's not really a winger. I know I've heard all the other Celtic media describing him this week as a winger, and he's not really a winger. Same as Negren. Like we said that, but you can go and check the content about Negren that we did before we bought him. He can play out wide, but you really want him with a front three to play with in front of him. So yeah, don't know what that really solves if it's anything really. It's just so frustrating, man, isn't it? We've went from being in such a sweet spot to being in like a really weird. Like, what's going on, man? We've got money in the bank. We've sold players. We've got Palma out. Telio, we just need to flip a switch and he's out. Kwan's gone. Lagerbielke and Naroki. We've done all the housekeeping stuff. Why is nobody signing? Why are we not buying anyone? And Brendan saying, what is the ambition? And it was funny because someone in the press conference, I listened to the pre-match in full. One of the Italian journals said, like, you guys dominate and you win everything all the time. Like, what's the long game here? Is it to win the Champions League? And everyone around Celtic does poo-poo that. But I know we can't really say, oh, we want to win the Champions League, but we should try to act as if it's possible. It's not going to really, for the current model and the situation that European football's in, going further in the Champions League isn't a bad thing. You know what I mean? And building the team to do that, whether it would actually ultimately go all the way is just maybe a pipe dream or whatever. But you keep going further and you keep going further, you keep getting more money, you get better players, things compound over time, and then anything's possible. But the way we're doing it now, it's just never going. It would never happen. Banning some sort of mad random kind of force majeure. Very frustrating, dragging the feet on transfers. You're right there. Left-footed as well. Low ball offer FC, yeah. I was really excited by the Briam links, and I would like to see us pursue that. Really, now that Quan is gone, there is no excuse at all, is there, for not going out and spending some money over the next week or two. Also, the boys will be coming back from Como, then it's all eyes on St Mirren next week, the Flag Day preparations. And Brendan and the boys, you've got to think, are going to be fully focused on the squad, but they should be going. There's no obstructions now. If Tillio's just got a button to flip for that deal to go, everyone else is gone. There's no dead weight in this team anymore. Let's see what happens with the strikers. I think Kenny needs a new contract before we can loan him out. Seems the offer was weeks ago. Do you know? I heard someone in the Daily Record saying that the name came up 5 weeks ago, and I was like, if it did come up 5 weeks ago, it was on my video, because it definitely wasn't in the rumor mill, because I would have been all over that. You know, Balikwisha is kind of the same. He's expected to play for Antwerp this weekend. I've got my Balikwisha Sorare card locked and loaded, so up front with Jordan Larson, would you believe? So let's see how that one goes. But I said it the other day, but I think Balikwisha, we've just got him on ice, and he's like an insurance policy. If we don't get into the Champions League, if we don't spend mega money on another forward, he's maybe the guy that we just go to and go, right, here's the money, here's the wages, over you come. So I think Balikwisha's, that's quite a smart move overall, you know, like having somebody kind of on tender hooks ready to go. Although it's frustrating in the immediate term for us all right now, of course. Guys, we've been live for about 40 minutes or so. It's about 140, 150 of you on YouTube. We'd love to see it. We're pushing for 18,888 subscribers. If you've not hit the subscribe button already, please do so. If you're enjoying the stream, if you're watching us live or after we've been live, please hit the like button. In case you don't know this, YouTube judges how good the video is by how much you guys chat when we're here live and how many of you hit the like button. So if you do enjoy the show, chatting in the live chat, hitting the like button really helps the channel grow, really helps the show. So I'm very much appreciative for anyone that can do that. It's absolutely free of charge, costs you absolutely nothing. Even if you just want to drop a wee fist bump emoji in the chat, if you're not really a talker or a commenter, it all goes a long way. I think we still sign Balikwisha. I can see us signing Balikwisha right at the end, and then everyone's like, why didn't you do it at the beginning of the window? Same as like Ida and Bernardo. Oh, Bernardo was kind of in the middle, wasn't he? But Ida was right at the end. So I've been a big fan of Donovan ever since seeing him in the B team this year. I've been kind of giving this guy his dues, giving him his praise early on in preseason. Again, I think I was one of the few channels to highlight him initially. And yeah, I really like Donovan a lot. The problem is Ralston, because Ralston's kind of like a right back for life with Celtic. And if Donovan is potentially better than Ralston, he might not be a right back for life either. So he's got a little bit of a bottleneck kind of thing here. I would really like to see him get on loan. Same as Kyle Ure, who's going out on loan, Jude Bonner, these guys. Get them out there, you know. Get this guy into Austria, Donovan. Put him to that Admira Wacker. That'd probably be a great move for him. Celtic fan, try go to someone who runs a supporters bus for tickets. I don't know what that's about, sorry. Torador, good to see you. It's been a while, my man. Or on this channel anyway. I don't think Murray is up to scales or trusty standards. Cell 88, you're the first person I've seen to give him any sort of negative feedback from preseason. I think everyone has been quite high on him. Ayr, Queen's Park, and Partick Thistle have been signing up some of our academy boys, and I keep getting mixed up who's took who. Yeah. You know, like, I don't mind a bit of gamesmanship, a little bit of art of the deal, if I can say that. I don't mind a bit of that from Celtic. We did it very well with Bernardo. We had a buy clause on Bernardo's loan for 5 or 6 million, and we negotiated it down by a bit. So I don't mind Celtic being frugal, as long as they don't put that at the cost of doing the job, you know, of actually doing the deal. So yeah, I've seen the full matches of like the early preseason, like Cork and Queen's Park and all that, but I've not seen the Ajax game in full or Sporting Lisbon. So I kind of reserve comment at this point, you know. Is Johnson fit to start? Yeah, he's come back from international stuff. He was playing Gold Cup, so I don't think there's no injury concern around him or anything like that. It is just he's had a extended period of time off. I don't think he'll miss Flag Day personally. I had no other words for it. I'm sorry. I knew somebody was going to give me it. Are we going to bring in a new forward? I don't think so, Jimmy Walker. Like, you know, like between Like, could we sign another striker? Like, we maybe could, but there's in like Kenny a contract and loan him out. Yamada might be loaned out. That was some of the chat Brendan was giving it before he's turned up here, obviously. And Osmond, it feels like Osmond is signed to be striker number 3, doesn't it? So maybe there is room for another striker. We get Kenny his new contract, we loan him out, and maybe the deal was to loan Yamada out. I don't know. What would be your 10 out of 10 summer transfer window? So a 10 out of 10 summer transfer window from this point on would get us a new CDM. And we're talking about somebody that costs a couple of quid. Can I put a name to this? Who would I buy? Well, I think I quite like Shotard. He was one of my favourites. Who was one of... Oh, there's a few good mids. Let's look at the list. We've not looked at the list in a wee while. Now, we've had to update the list. So it's on a different website now to when we started the series. So we've not quite got everyone's names on it for different reasons. Oh, where is it again? Scouting, maybe? Yeah. Watch list. Celtic summer transfers. There we go. So let's see. I want a defensive mid, and we're wanting a 10 out of 10 window. I would like to try. He's maybe a wee bit green, but for us, yeah, Shotard, Mamadou Sangar of Rapid Vienna. I wouldn't mind doing a deal for him. Atanga is who I would really have wanted, but for us, Atanga, Antonio Blanco. Yeah, I think I would go Antonio Blanco as a CDM I would want in. Former Real Madrid Academy product, very well thought of over there. You can check out the video we spoke about. It was the La Liga video on the series. But yeah, I'd probably take Antonio Blanco. He's probably going to want to start, but I would sign Blanco and punt Bernardo personally. Don't need to sell Bernardo. We can keep him, but I would sign Blanco. We need forwards, don't we? I would sign him. We do need forwards. Now, do we want wings? I think we need wings. We kind of need a full front line, man, for to get a 10 out of 10 window. I like Ant-Man a lot as well. And by the way, I seen the Bream thing. Why don't we sign Oliver Ant-Man and Jacob Bream? Like, I would be clubs don't do that type of thing enough for me. Like players that have a good link up have a good synergy. Like if we bought Ant-Man and Bream, Ant-Man is firmly like a right winger that can kind of play up front. So we can then put Yang back into this spot here if we did that. But Ant-Man, and then are we thinking Bream is another winger? Like on paper, although we know he's like a central player, or do we think Bream is like a backup forward? Or is that can do both and can play midfield? Blanco, Ant-Man, Bream. And again, as I say this, like, would these guys definitely do well in the Champions League? I'm not too sure because they are coming from a lower level of the pyramid and all that stuff, but they're the sort of football player that we should really be looking at. And then, defense, there's only one player I'd be buying, and that is Matt Smets, who would be coming into play first team. So for a 10 out of 10 window, I'm not sure I can put both the go-ahead guys there. I think we want somebody better for at least one of the spots. So let's say we take one of the go-ahead guys. I would take Matta Smets for defence, Antonio Blanco into defensive midfield. And 10 out of 10 window, but somewhat realistic forwards. Do you know what? Why don't we sign Dominic Fitz? I know he's kind of a number 10. But Dominic Fitz is a pretty strong guy for us. Like, he's at Austria Vienna, and he is a bagsman. Plays a bit of number 10, is big enough to play up front, and can play in a front three in a 3-4-3. So I'd maybe say Fitz. I would take Dominic Fitz in. Top of the food chain is what I'm trying to keep in my mind here, because guys like Balakwisha, Ben Negren, Jacob Bream, these types of guys that we like those links, we like those types of players. They are actually the sort of player we should be shopping in. We shouldn't be getting the Lager BLKs of the world and whatever. We should be going into good leagues. Ernest Opoku, yeah, I wouldn't mind him either. We can't do any worse than our two Irish lads. I don't really mind Kenny and Ida, but it's definitely not ambitious. We're definitely weaker up front. Yeah, I think so. McLaughlin P. I've been saying it on the channel for a while. It feels like a window of two halves, pre-qualifier and post-qualifier. I still think Brendan's good for spending 30 million if we qualify, but it feels like it might be a if we qualify type situation. But yeah, I don't mind Fitz. And then like Briam, I'd probably go Fitz, Briam, Balikwisha actually. If we did that, Balikwisha is reported to be like 5 or 6. Briam's about 5, and I reckon Fitz you could probably get at the same price point. 20 million on a new centre forwards like this. You get Kenny a new contract and loan him out. Osmond is B team caliber anyway, so whatever you do with him, who really cares, to be honest. And Yamada, maybe have him hanging about just in case something doesn't work out, or he's maybe going to play out wide, so you need another forward in here. Maybe loan him out again. Jota can come back later, and then everything just looks way better. But I think, yeah, a 10 out of 10 window has us getting 2 to 3 forwards, another mid, and another centre back. Blanco, Antonio Blanco, Matt Smets, Dominic Fitz, Jacob Briam, or Oliver Antman. I'd probably plump for Antman because he's actually a right winger, which is kind of what we need. We turned Yang into a white spot, didn't we? Actually, that's what it was. Thinking, where's the other starter went? We're talking about another 4 players, and I think we need to be spending like a significant chunk of budget. And see the business we've done in the budget we have. It's not to be sniffed, by the way. It's not to be sniffed. You know, Inamura seems okay for the money and all that. And again, we all feel quite similarly about. Let's see how Yamada pans out as well as Osmond, but not really spent that much. And I think it's mainly the outgoings that make the business look better because we've really cleaned house. Yeah, exactly. It's the way every proper club does it, you know, and then it's like going through the list bit by bit. There's no playing about with qualifying or not. I feel that as well. If we're to have a 10 out of 10 window, we do need another centre forward. Rogers did say we need more goals in attack. So I kind of agree with that, but there's just actually a lot of heads up here. I agree with that too, Rising Maverick. Nico Williams on the left, Lamine Yamal on the right. What a shout, Monty. We better phone up Celtic and let them know. Yeah. A new centre mid, a new centre forward, a couple of wingers. I would like another defender. Yeah. A lot to go. A lot to go. And it feels like there's this kind of standoff kind of thing. There's chat going around about, you know, the manager's contract situation and is he playing politics with them, signing a contract or get backed or backed, then sign a contract, qualify for Champions League, then decide stuff. It's too much. It's too much internal politics. It's too much like individuals before the club. It's too much. Yeah, it's too small-minded. It really just is too small-minded and too short-sighted, ultimately, because Celtic, if you want to think about it from the greedy point of view that we all imagine the board takes, and certainly the way they do seem to carry themselves is, you know, it's something I've kind of tried to cling on to on the channel over the last year or two in anticipation of the new Champions League format, and now here we are in the midst of it, that their greed works to our advantage, that they see the amount of money that they could be getting from selling players as being a Champions League club, as well as all the money that we now get for being in the new Champions League, where they see those dollar signs and they go, right, do you know what? We can spend on these forwards because it will, or these players, it will pay off for us. We know that. And Didi, I wouldn't mind, but lacks imagination, and he really does take someone out the team. You don't want it, and it's not going to be McGregor. So you don't want anyone that's going to take out Rio and Negren. You kind of need someone that's happy to job share with McGregor. Antonio Blanco, who was my shout there on the who would be your 10 out of 10 transfer thing, would probably not be that guy. He probably wouldn't be too happy to come to Celtic and job share with McGregor unless he was guaranteed like a significant number of minutes. But in failing that, like Atanga would probably do that role for us. Shotard would probably do that role for us. Traore the same. These guys are a bit more like ambitious in this stage in their career to develop and whatever. And playing for a Champions League club winning titles would certainly change their career. Shotard is a bit more ball playing, but is very good defensively in the statistics, certainly anyway. And McLaughlin P, you're asking Torridor, the right man. Torridor, if you're still in the chat, there's a question here for you. Engels isn't good enough on the ball. Look at the way Negren controls, receives, and manipulates the ball. Proper technical ability. I would agree with that, but I also think it's what you're seeing there is like a playmaker, like an attacking base player, how good he is at manipulating the ball and whatever. Whereas Colin, good to see you, my man. Hail, hail. Whereas what you're seeing with Engels is someone like McGregor using the ball, and a midfielder's midfielder, a guy that's used to going line to line, box to box. And I agree it's totally different, and Negren's way slicker. But I think it's because he is an attack-based player. They've just got that extra flick and trick to them, don't they? They've just got that extra balance, that extra poise, a bit more confident to maybe sell the dummy to someone as well. Whereas Engels isn't really that guy, is he? Very well, thanks, Colin. Hope you're well as well, my man. We definitely need a CB and a proven striker. Yeah, I think we're all in the same mind of kind of what we need. But it does feel like with Negren living in this number 8 position, I don't think we're buying anyone else in midfield. I really, really don't see it. But really, for all intents and purposes, we should be getting rid of Bernardo out of the midfield and getting someone who is more like Tomoki Iwata. Dare I raise his name? But you kind of need someone, sadly, that's like under 23, so they're happy to learn under McGregor. They're happy to start 10 games, 15 games a season across all competitions, appear in 60% of matches in all competitions. It's hard to get good players to sign up for that. I'd love that. That would be so good, wouldn't it? And yeah, I would agree. He's not good under pressure. So he's not a defensive player. He's not really an attacking player. And that's kind of the thing I've felt here on the channel. We all it's where the unrest with Engels comes is nobody really gets him. Nobody really can say for certain where his best role is or what his main USP is to the squad. Because when he first came in, he plays in this wide mid, because Rodgers loves to put the midfield on the opposite end of the pitch from themselves nowadays. So he'd be out here and he'd have some people to play with, and maybe has the ability to drive in here. And it's quite like David Beckham positioning, 4-4-2. I'm thinking about that when I say that. I'm not saying he is Beckham, but it's like that right mid kind of spot. And maybe for some teams, maybe even a right back where they would put them in like a 3-5-2 or a 3-4-3 or some sort of thing like that, where he's just out here. I've always felt Engels did his best work at Celtic domestically when we're dominating games and whatever from the left of midfield, because when he's driving inwards, he's just got more of a scope for passing. He's got more options available to him. He can take the ball in a number of different ways on his right foot travelling in from wide here than he does with his right foot travelling on the inside here. He's kind of limited to his body position options and what balls he can play. So he's not really got much of a left on him. Yeah. I'm with you there. Bernardo needs I don't think Bernardo has composure, actually, Marcus. I would say kind of the opposite. I think Bernardo is like really good facing the ball. I think he's really good facing the play. And Bernardo, like I was chanting about earlier in the show, we're talking about those highlights, someone that can step in and confront the ball. I think he's the best in the squad at doing that. But I think when Bernardo's on the ball, you don't really get a lot out of him outside of getting out of pressure. Like, so if he's in a defensive spot here and it's 4 versus 3 and we're camped in, he's really good at playing the boxes. You can tell he's really good in the possession drills and training, that sort of guy. But when it's galloping with the ball, driving with the ball, I don't think he's really got anything to him, really, to be honest with you. And I know when he was on loan, everyone thought he could be an O'Reilly replacement when we signed him permanently. I've never really understood that. Some people really try to hang on to that idea that Bernardo could be that. He's not, he's not a guy that travels well with the ball. he's not an attacking midfielder where he's going to slice people up and drop the shoulder and all the rest. Yeah, he can do bits of that. He's a good player. I'm not saying he can't do it or whatever, but it's not his bag. It's not his thing. Same as Engels, I would, Bernardo's the first midfielder I'd be selling out this batch to go and get someone more appropriate. His positioning is good. Yeah, he's a smart player. You can tell he's came through an academy like Benfica, super well drilled and has a lot of good principles just laid in as a foundation. Everyone plays it safe. That's what I'm saying. He's not an O'Reilly replacement. He never was, because he is a safe player. He'll play where his nose is facing. Bernardo can't do anything around the corner or into the blind spots or anything like that. He has a play the way you're facing. Aye, I'm talking about the Portuguese under-21s captain, Paul O. Bernardo, as we call him on this channel. He's the under-21s captain. He is 23. So it is an accolade and stuff like that. I like him too. I like Bernardo as the fifth guy in this depth chart or whatever. But see, if we're only keeping 6, we're not going to be selling Engels anytime soon. Let's call it spade a spade. There's no point in selling McKeown really right now, unless that's just not an issue. McKeown's not a problem. And then the front, McGregor, Negren, and Rio. Again, I don't think anyone's chasing them out the building, are they? So I think Bernardo, we didn't spend much on him. Take a little bit of a loss on him, sell him back to Braga or something like that, and then go out and get an actual hard-nosed guy with spidey senses, defensive midfielder. And then you've got Engels. Engels can play in any of these positions. We've seen that already. McKeown can kind of do that as well. At Dundee, he obviously played deeper, but for us, that's not really been the case. And then once you've got a guy in who's just cover for McGregor, or he can come on for somebody else when we're tightening a game up to get him the minutes and whatever, just a defensive midfielder. And then McGregor can maybe go walkies once in a while, can actually attack once in a while. So I think Bernardo's kind of the bottleneck to the midfield here. If we moved Bernardo out and we had to replace him with a definitively more defensive-based player, I think the balance would just lock in a lot nicer. Too much passes between two players to me, to you. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Celt 88, I wouldn't rule it out, because he's probably not going to leave Celtic and play for another team in our league unless Hearts or Hibs or Aberdeen really gave him not quite Celtic money, but they would really need to make him clearly a top 3 earner. And I don't know if he would have much ambition to stay in Scotland after playing at Celtic for however long his contract is, 3-4 years. I can see him going to MLS quite easy. It's quite hard to imagine he goes onto the continent. I could see him maybe getting, if you think about the move Stefan Johansson had, Stefan Johansson, I was a big fan of. I quite liked him. But by the time he moved, it was kind of yesterday's news, and he wasn't super great for us. But he went to Fulham. He played for someone else in the Championship for about 3 or 4 years. I could see McKeown living that kind of life as well. But yeah, MLS is probably decent as well. And Greece seems to be open up with Penrice going to Athens and Taylor going to Pau. I can see him in Greece. He does have that famous drive and run. Yeah. And he's not shy. He's brave that way. But that, I think, gave a lot of people a false perception that he's a ball carrying midfielder. And he's not. Yeah. McCown won't leave Celtic unless it. Yeah, exactly. I don't see. But it's what does he do once Celtic are done with him? Because we're not going to keep this guy until he's 38 or something. McCown will have a shelf life. Won't he at Celtic Park? Compared to Ralston would probably, McGregor, Forrest, the actual homegrown, the fabric guys, they'll be allowed to stay, I think, really within reason as long as they want. McKeown maybe isn't quite seen in that same light. Yeah, I agree, Marcus. Marcus, you're on fire today, by the way. And Ian, you've summed up what I was saying earlier perfectly. This Frontline going into the Champions League isn't scaring many people, is it? It's not that threatening. It's kind of the Dyson show. If Dyson doesn't turn up, we're fucked. That's kind of the way the midfield sits right. Pardon me, the Frontline sits right now. Because you don't back Ida to grab a game by the scruff of the neck. And as much as Yang is full of endeavour, and then you've maybe got Forrest to come off the bench and keep that campaign down the right-hand side going for the full 90 minutes. They're kind of 2 players in one, aren't they? compared to like Dyson could do the full shift is kind of the contrary example. It's not scaring anyone. Bratislava and the likes are not scared of this. They're not worried about that at all. They can defend deep against that. The midfield being better maybe means we are a bit more dangerous to these teams because we've got more ways to unlock them and whatever. Because I do think Negren and Hatate has got peak potential to be maybe the best attacking midfield kind of duet, kind of piece playmaker situation that we've had at the club for ages. Like maybe even, yeah, ages is probably the easiest way of putting it. Yeah, that's maybe quite fair as well. Celt 88, but he is part of the squad fabric in the sense he's another homegrown player again as well. And the way Celtic have kind of like, if I was to change all the colours of the dots on this page here to like Tierney isn't going to go anywhere anytime soon. Scales, and I know Tierney's probably in that original camp with McGregor, Ralston, Forrest, whatever, right? So let's kind of forget him. But guys like Scales, McCowan, whatever's going on with these backup forwards, James Forrest, or whatever, I don't think anyone, without them really kicking up a fuss about it, has much scope to kick them out the team because you know, they're here, they're bedded in, they're experienced in the league, they know how to go up to Ross County and get the win on a Wednesday night or whatever. And replacing backups for the sake of they don't really fit or they're not really your cup of tea, it's just more trouble than it's worth for a lot of managers, and the club would probably see it that way as well. So unless it was a real point of contention, I don't see a new manager kicking half these players out, to be honest. And yeah, by the way, like in the SPFL, there might not again, if you're an SPFL defender or goalkeeper that's been playing in the league for the last 2 or 3 seasons, this is as happy as you've been to see Celtic, isn't it? That was the number one thing. I'll never forget this about Ange when he said they signed Kyogo. It was mainly off the back of he asked his own defenders who is the worst player to play against in the league, and they all said Kyogo's a nightmare. Can he get a minute? He's always on you. Don't know where he is. And for all of his faults and his flaws that I've always been rather happy to point out. I'm a big Kyogo fan, but I've never been one of the ones to say he's immaculate or without criticism. It's a huge headache problem for other teams that we've lost. Never mind the goals and all that we've lost with Kyogo and Kun going, but like we have lost like a dimension, you know, like into this attack. We all love Calmac, and we never are saying any of this is like a bad thing against Calmac. It's just reality. We really Calmac should be jostling with these positions here and pushing the level. It's probably a headache the manager doesn't want right now because Negren and Hatate are really striking up a partnership. And yeah, against the games that we dominate, we know we can play McGregor here, no problem at all. But Ajax really just must have gave some people some flashbacks to Dortmund and some of those other matches where like this chasm that we can get between defense and midfield that everyone needs to run back and recover into. It just kills us. And then the ball comes to the edge of the box. Everyone's in. No one's close to a man. They've got time to hit it for a pass or a shot before anyone closes them down. It's just, you know, it's the definition of insanity, isn't it? I think Calmac, to rejuvenate himself in the current position he's in here, because he's losing Taylor. Taylor was in here holding his hand, and I don't say that to be disrespectful or anything, but Taylor was coming in here. If Taylor wasn't going walkies to do wildcard, he was in here with McGregor. And now that's gone. And now the other midfielder isn't Engels, it's Negren, who, yeah, Negren comes in nice and deep to try and get the ball out and get his turning and attacking, like Hatate does. But neither one of them is coming in to sit next to McGregor. Hatate less so than Negren, because we've seen Hatate being very effective in that position. They're not upgrading that situation. They're not covering McGregor's back. They're not getting the ball here and go, McGregor, you run forward, I'll play you in, and then you get us going. That's not happening, you know? Yeah, I've always said like Bruni and McGregor are two sides of the one coin, or they're the yin and the yang, you know, of that conductor, of that controller position that Brendan likes. Where Bruni's range of passing is nowhere near what McGregor's is. They've both got quite a good engine. McGregor's just not got the nose for danger that Scott Brown had. Otherwise, they're quite eachy peachy, aren't they? McGregor's more goal dangerous, you would say. But, you know, it's not as if Scott Brown didn't score a cracker once in a while, you know. Yeah, I seen this other link. I didn't. I seen it. I've not investigated it, to be honest with you. I don't mind David Watson either of Kilmarnock. I've been an admirer for him, and I did say it. The very first episode we did on the Wednesday series, where we're doing the transfer shopping wish list thing, the very first episode we did was domestic. And David Watson, if we were going to buy another Luke McKeown, David Watson would be the top of my list. We're not going to buy Lennon Miller. I like David Watson a lot. I like Mulligan a lot as well, but he's moved on. But yeah, I like Watson. Good, and the thing with Watson is he is like a really press happy midfielder for Kilmarnock. We've already seen that. So, but yeah, I would agree with that overall. We should upgrade from the Taylor spot here, but for McGregor, he's got less of a safety net. Yeah, exactly. We're going to need manage him even more this year than we've ever done before. Every year, that's going to only grow to the nth degree, as you've said there, John McCulloch. Oh yeah. But yeah, what is our ambition? The ambition we're showing here is Europa League, isn't it? Our ambition is Champions League, and like I said to you earlier, I would like to see us pushing towards the top of that Champions League group stage this year. That it is fixture dependent. The way we can get screwed with a draw is when like Dortmund and Newcastle and teams like that end up in pot 3 and 4. When that happens, we can get a bad draw. But failing that, as long as teams are kind of in the pots they should be, like there's not really a bad draw that's possible. So we'll kind of wait and see how the draw actually happens if we even fucking get there in the first place, you know. But what is our ambition? You know, sitting like this now, it's not very ambitious at all, is it? Um, this would all be so different. See if we still even just had Kuhn, like one player different, really, is what we're talking about here, isn't it? Even if we'd got, let's see if we'd signed Balquisha and Briam, even. I don't think there's much jeopardy around the team. Because again, both those players very versatile, play a number of positions. So even just by adding those two guys in, you cover both wings and you've got cover through the middle. I don't think our yeah. Who can we get in the qualifiers? Only other champions. Can I go and see Celtic qualifier? I'll see if I can find one of the graphics that's been going around. I found one from the 25th of April. I don't know if that's updated at all. I'll put it on screen. Possible opponents with current projections. So this was before leagues were finalised. But you're looking at the likes of Basel, Ludogorets Razgrad, Sturm Graz, Stoya Bucharest, Rakow. I'll see if I can find a more up-to-date one. Let's check latest. Let's see if there's an RB list there, but it's other champions of countries that we would be playing because we're in the champion bracket. But it will be, and I think we're seeded or something like that. So I think we are against like champions that we should beat. Somebody mentioned Bratislava earlier on. They might also be available for us. The draw's not too far away, so we'll find out soon enough, I suppose. But yeah, I'm not finding a more accurate little graphic or list or anything. We might do that for the next episode or next week when we're back. I'll do my homework for you. Yeah. Bucharest lost 1-0. I think we get Sturm Graz because I'm in Austria for 3 weeks. Here we go, Colin. You knew Colin would have the alpha, didn't you? Tel Aviv, Qarabag, Bratislava, Sturm Graz, Basel. Basel are, they've got Albion Ajeti in their ranks, and the wee man scoring goals again. You know he'll get a revenge goal against us. And Shaqiri is living the Alpine Messi life right now. So I don't think I want Basel. Graz are actually a pretty tidy outfit. I don't know if we would be worried about them. Actually, no, I seen their team the other day. They've got Sakaria back from China. Yeah, I don't think we want to touch Graz. I think that's too banana skinny. But the other teams I've got no problems with. Yeah. There's Tel Aviv UEFA fine jokes in the live chat. Yeah. Yeah. Well, if Basel beat us, at least we'll win the Europa League. Yeah, I think we know that one. Hopefully, we get Bratislava. Qarabag is a nightmare for travel, of course. And Tel Aviv are playing probably in like Schalke or Hamburg or something like that. There's normally like you find that these games end up getting played either in Poland or at big German clubs who are not in the top flight right now. So I think Schalke and Hertha Berlin are still in the second flight. I know Hamburg has hosted some games like this before, maybe for Shakhtar or whatever. Jude Bonner's went on loan to Ayr United, GG. So he'll be playing for Scott Brown this year and already scored a worldie, I think. That was the headline, made me think that. So yeah. Could the the teams we're talking about now, the squad we've got, if we get the right end of the draw, Tel Aviv's and Qarabags and whatever, I think we would survive. Yeah, so if it's not Bucharest, they're playing. If they get beat, we'll be playing whoever beats them. Can I go and find Champions League qualifiers? Champions League. And then I'll be loving you and leaving you shortly, guys. If you've not done so already, please smash the like button. It goes a long way to supporting the channel. So this is the quarterfinals. I don't know if this is all champion region or Rangers are over here, I think, aren't they? I've just seen them, yeah. So I think this is us, isn't it? No, they're not champions, are they? Nice and stuff. No, so it must be, yeah, there's Qarabag taking on Shelburne, Bratislava taking on Zrinski, Red Star and Lincoln. Yeah, this feels like the champion bracket, doesn't it? I'm not sure Copenhagen won their league, but maybe they did. Bucharest against, wow, a team from Macedonia. If they get put out, that's who we want. Although that could be a tough away game, as we know. Ludogorets taking on Rijeka. Rijeka could knock them out. Did Ludogorets not win the league then? Maybe. Because they shouldn't be playing Rijeka. Who won the league? It wasn't Ajax, was it? No, Ajax. Maybe it was Rijeka that won the league. I think it was Rijeka, actually. Ferencvaros taking on Noah. Tel Aviv taking on Paphos. Yeah, we want Tel Aviv to win that, don't we? And yeah, I didn't see any of the other teams that we mentioned earlier. What potential Celts are lurking? Well, we've got a Jetty. We've got Chips, Cheese and Pussy, El Yunusi at Copenhagen. We have got Malmo. There might be like a Joe Inga Berget or something playing for them, but I couldn't tell you. I'm not sure there's many. Oi. Where is our ambition, guys? That is the question we started with, and it feels like it's the question we're ending with as well. I'm not too sure. It is nervy times, by the way. I really hope that we go and get Briam, Balikwisha, one or both of these guys over the line kind of quickly, because we are as thin as we've ever been up front, really. Rijeka won the league. Thanks for double checking me on that. So yeah, it'll be a busy week between now and next week. We'll be here on Monday. We'll try and have a video out on Monday. We'll have a transfer video on Wednesday again as well. All the releases on the channel, Celts are here. We put them out as close to 5 o'clock as we can. But sometimes if I record something the same day, it'll still go out, but it might be a wee bit closer to the 6 o'clock mark. So hit the subscribe button if you've not done so already. Hit the little notification bell so you get a little notification whenever we do put anything out on the channel. We're up to 3 pieces of content a week. Once we get back into the season, we're probably going to get back up to 5 day. Let's see how it goes. Maybe even 6 days, but let's just see. So please, if you haven't already, please do hit the like button. Subscribe for more content like this. We're very close to 13,000 subscribers. I would absolutely love it if we could hit that before the beginning of the season, before chasing towards our eventual goal of 18,888 subs. We cannot do that without your support, everyone. The likes have flown, by the way. We're over 107, which is incredible. So thanks very much to everyone for that. If you're watching this after we've been live, please do hit the like button as well. It goes a long way to supporting the show. Have a great weekend, everyone. Let's cross our fingers for some transfer business over the weekend. Hail, hail, and Mo the Hoops.